All right, morning everyone. Welcome to another episode of Market Trading. I'm your host, Tone Vays, coming to you live, middle of the day. Markets are opened. I've been spending time trying to catch up on what the hell is going on in the Middle East, and while still trying to keep up with what's going on in Ukraine, while still organizing the events. Man, the world is nuts. The world is absolutely nuts. Okay, let's go to the charts. Why most of you are here. The political channel will come eventually. And PPI numbers tomorrow and the CPI numbers on Thursday, something to seriously keep an eye on. We're just going to do charting today. I'm going to try to keep this a short video. And we're going to the weekly chart. The weekly chart, I don't like the CMF. You can see that the CMF is starting to go red again. I mean, as long as it stays within this trend, that's a positive sign. But if we go and make a new low in the CMF, that is certainly concerning. The MACD is actually looking good. We need that bullish crossover. So maybe this is the only down week, and then we can start to challenge those highs. This could end fairly well. We can reach, a weekly MRI top, pull back a smidge, and then eventually break out in November of this year. And on the price action, it got rejected by the moving averages. I think this is not bad. There's still something wrong with this candle. I don't know what it is. There's something wrong with this weekly candle. The weekly candle starts on Monday. This is Monday, October 2nd candle. The weekly chart has an opening of 27.22.0, and the daily chart on Monday has an opening of 27.998. That's the problem. Okay, so this right here, the opening candle on October the 2nd. So it should be 27.998. So if I go to the weekly scale, this candle closes at 27.995. And this candle needs to open at 27.998. This is a bad candle. This is a data error on TradingView. If anyone that is an admin of TradingView is watching, you have a data bug. This should be a doji candle, and it's important. It's really important. Like, this is the wrong candle. The candle that should be here is a straight up doji candle smack in the middle of these moving averages. And it makes a world of difference, right? Reversing on a doji candle versus reversing on a monster green candle. It kind of sucks. We can maybe do like a 6-day chart. 6 months, 2 weeks, 1 week, 10 days, 9 days, 5 days. Like, you do a 5-day chart. It's a little cleaner, but you guys get the point. Bad data. Oh, I got a call coming in. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So here's our allocation chart. The allocation chart has a day and a half to go. We remain in our 10% bullish position. We're going to stick with this position for a little while because we need to break the resistance area. We have a mountain of resistance here. I'm not even treating the MRI top as resistance because I don't really follow the MRI on this allocation. But the long-term moving average, you can see it's about to start declining with the next candle, and that is very serious resistance. Daily chart, a daily chart got rejected as a doji candle. We have two doji candles in a row, both of them right at the moving average. We have a double moving average, which makes it double the resistance. We have now pulled back. We can hold this horizontal channel. Ideally, I would rather see us pull back a little bit more. I would like to see us pull back over, to this prior swing high, and also take its sweet time to get there so that the 50-period moving average can rally a smidge and make it a little bit higher to also bounce us off the moving average. But there is decent enough support. As long as we do not go lower than the prior swing low of 26,000, we are okay. We also have the MRI support line there, and of course the ultimate lows at 25,000. So things are not looking that bad from the bearish perspective. We also have some room on the horizontal, the trend line, the upwards sloping trend line. I'm just gonna get rid of some of these arrows. I mean, they've been there long enough. Clearly I was right on the up move off the MRI buy, off the big drop, then the down move off the moving average resistance. And now we wait. I'm gonna move these arrows over because I do think we're gonna break above that resistance of moving averages, and then we're gonna pull back to the breakout area. In the meantime, we are likely to pull back a little more before going higher. Something like that. I'll adjust these arrows later. Okay. This box, still a threat, but only a threat till the end of the year. After the year is over, I don't really see this box as being a threat any longer. Okay, I'm going to drop some of these other arrows as well. They're starting to disappear from my view, and I don't like cluttering my charts. Okay. There's too many arrows. Man, there's a lot of arrows. I'm going to leave that one. That was I made some bold calls right here, and I said 20,000 never again. And 9 months later, 6 months later, so far I'm right. I'll get rid of this line. Yeah. Oh man, I could probably end up doing this all day, but that's also a really good arrow. But I'm just gonna drop them all. Maybe I should have left them. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Oh, missed one. Just clutters the charts. Okay, let's move on. I can't believe stocks are doing so well. I've been bullish on stocks. I'm not a gloom and doomer, guys. I'm bullish on stocks. I've been bullish on stocks. I remain bullish on stocks. Short-term chart, just consolidating between two MRI lines. GBTC discount continues to slowly trend to zero, which is a good sign. GBTC is on an MRI daily top. I don't know how much emphasis to put on this. I don't really pay attention to the MRI on GBTC either. So keep it as is. The moment we get a rally, you're going to see this thing go above zero. I would love to see GBTC discount at above zero. That would be great. natural gas, as you guys know, natural gas, I've been very right on this market. You can see the RSI is overbought. The MACD is getting super extended. Not that that really matters in trading, but I think the natural gas should be topping right around now. With this conflict in the Middle East, that could actually, cause a bit of a jump in the price of natural gas, because there are some, pipelines there, natural gas pipelines, and other things. So let's see if the high holds. If we get a green star candle tomorrow, then I'm going to be bullish on natural gas, which is very bad for you. Oil. I wonder if we got no, today's Tuesday, right? We're not going to get the data yet. This is daily oil. Let's go to the weekly oil. The rally in oil is not that high yet. People are still absorbing what's going to happen between Israel and Palestine, and how many other Arab countries are going to get sucked into this in another war in the Middle East. I think this one's going to be bad. I don't have a good feeling about this, but once again, this goes back to the 2020 election. Everything goes back to the 2020 election, and maybe even the 6 months prior to the election, when there was a coordinated effort to lock down the world in order to get rid of Trump in a mail-in fraudulent ballots. Yep, I said it. And everything goes back to that. Everything was great. Everything was great when 2020 started. Everything was great, or 2019 was ending. I think 2019 was the last incredible year for the world economy. It was 2019. I hope that in my lifetime there will be a better economic year with better forward-looking prospects on the world economy than 2019. I am a little pessimistic that that would ever happen again in my lifetime. And Bitcoin aside, just in general for the world economic prospects and world economic prosperity. 2019 was the peak in Western civilization. And then in 2020, everything hit the fan. Starting in 2020, from even those communist protests of BLM over in the US were not going to ruin 2019 incredible economic prospects. And yeah, in 2020 everything went to shit, and it's actually moving down the toilet bowl faster now than it was in 2021. And here we are. No, 2019 was good. 2019 was a very good year. 2018, 2019, they were good years. Not for Bitcoin so much in 2018, but so here we are with another insane war starting. It's bad, and this goes back to what I said. So the reason I just did this rant is because starting with the election in 2020, I declared publicly that this is the beginning of the end for the United States. The moment you have a fraudulent election in the US, the world will lose confidence in America, and eventually they will lose confidence in the American political system, the American economic system, and the American military system. Okay, there's three things. They are all connected. If you draw a triangle, I should do a presentation on this. You have politics. You have, let me get a triangle. Draw a random triangle. You have politics, you have economy, and you have the military. That is what keeps America as the world superpower. It's those three things. For the last 100 years, it's trust in that the U.S. has like the most trustworthy political system. The U.S. has the most transparent and least corrupt economic system, and it has the strongest military. In 2020, all three catastrophically collapsed. All three. It was a collapse in all three. We've seen some, issues with one or another. Like the military in Vietnam didn't do all that well, but the U.S. maintained some integrity in its political system. Even like with the whole Nixon situation, it still maintained integrity. Even when it got off the gold standard, it still maintained integrity in its economic system. All three have catastrophically failed under Joe Biden. Under Joe Biden, we've seen the US dollar used as a weapon against sovereign countries. In order to get Joe Biden elected, we've seen a complete annihilation of the honesty in the US political system. You see the complete debacle of the US military, and not only running away from Afghanistan, leaving all the weapons behind for them to make it to Hamas to attack Israel. We're also seeing America getting their ass whipped in Ukraine by using Ukraine as a proxy against Russia. This is the collapse of the empire. You are witnessing the collapse of the empire. And the collapse of the empire takes approximately 8 years. 8 years. When did the clock start? Well, we can say it started in 2019 with the communist BLM protests, or we can say it started in 2020 with the lockdowns, or we can say it started on election day, or we can say it started on January 6th with the protests, or worst case scenario, it started when the US military ran out of Afghanistan because they apparently can't handle a bunch of people in flip-flops, right? Which they said was going to be easy. So you choose the day, but it's one of those. It's one of those four. I don't know which one. I'm going to say the election and the protests. I'm going to pick the middle ground. I'm going to pick November to January of 2020 to January of 2021. That is when my clock started. That's when my clock started. So you add 8 years, and we're going to witness a complete collapse of the US and its monetary system in 2028. So Bitcoin better be ready. Oh, yeah, no. Oki says the pull out of Afghanistan was super underrated. I agree. I didn't underrate it. I was all over that. Go find those videos. I don't know what day it was. I was very critical. It wasn't that the US left Afghanistan. It was how they left Afghanistan. The incompetence of the Biden administration was on full display. I haven't seen the United States be this incompetent in my lifetime than the way they left Afghanistan with people hanging onto an airplane falling to their deaths. The way America left Afghanistan is literally how they would leave if there was like a zombie apocalypse and the president wants to save his life. I'm just looking at your comments, guys. Right. And now the US has sent all of their weapons into Ukraine instead of having peace negotiated a few weeks into the military conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And now there's not enough weapons for Israel. So Israel is in deep shit. If there was a country that was swimming up shit creek without a paddle, it is Israel right now. Good luck. All right. Back to the charts, guys. I'm also not surprised the Israeli intelligence agency, Mossad, completely failed, unless this was an inside job, completely failed in preventing this because they have decided to send all of their agents and all their resources into Ukraine, which I'm sure Putin wasn't happy about. Yeah, by the way, my views on the whole Palestine versus Israel, what just happened, they're a little bit different. Like I watched the Duran, I watched Brian Boletic. I haven't seen Scott Ritter's interviews yet because unfortunately he only did interviews with like that communist over in the UK, George Galloway. I don't watch George Galloway, so I haven't seen. I heard it was a great podcast between George Galloway and Scott Ritter. I don't want to watch it because I don't want to because George Galloway is an open communist, so I don't watch his show for that reason. I don't like to support communists. I'm not like making fun of him. He's a communist. He says he calls himself he refers to himself as a communist, and therefore I don't watch his show. So I have to catch Scott Ritter's views. I am curious about Scott Ritter's views on the Palestine Israel situation. But like I said, I watched the Duran. I watched Brian Boletic. I thought that they both did a good job. I was surprised how pro-Palestine Brian Boletic was. That caught me by surprise. The Duran was very neutral, but I think there was a few avenues they didn't explore. This is going to have huge ramifications, especially on the oil and gas sector and the overall global economy and where we're headed. This is gold. I think gold's going to rise. I think this conflict, while it's bad for certain regions, I think this conflict isn't bad enough to crush gold, and people are going to find gold more and more useful. So I think this conflict is actually going to increase the gold prices. By the way, as the right now it's an Israeli versus Palestine conflict, but it could turn into Islam versus Judaism, which will be a way bigger conflict. It's really interesting to watch American politicians scramble, where half the politicians are pro-Israel and half the politicians are pro-Palestine. Well, sorry, like quarter politicians are pro-Palestine, quarter politicians are pro-Israel, and the other half the politicians just want more chaos. So that's going to be interesting in the American side of things. And the S&P is rising. Who's surprised? I am not. I am not surprised. I have stated many times that the S&P will find a bottom in October. It's irrelevant on the global stage. So look at that. What a perfect reversal here in October. This low is probably here to stay. I am expecting new all-time highs for the S&P. First, we have to get past the more local highs of earlier this year and then challenge last year's highs right here. 2022, January 2022, we topped right there in December. We're reversed in October, and we have reversed in October once again. We still have two more hurdles to go. We have the moving average over at 4,400, and we have the horizontal resistance at 45, say 45.75. I think we can break both of them even this year. And off we go to the upside in the S&P. The crypto factor asks, will it be an Islam versus Judaism? No, it will not. This is not Islam versus Islam. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but this whole Shia versus Sunni divide was completely American driven. Completely American driven. Maybe back in the 70s, you had Iran versus Iraq, but it was also probably American driven. It feels to me that the Islam world is uniting. And that's what it feels like to me. You still have, some issues, but I have seen so much cooperation between Sunni and Shiite that the Islam world, the Arabic world, is completely uniting. And this is horrible for America and obviously Israel, right? For completely different reasons, right? Why is it bad for Israel? Well, because Israel is, in the middle of the Islamic world. And the Islamic world doesn't like Israel, mostly because of the United States and the Britain before it that created the country of Israel in the middle of their Arabic Islam world. So it's very different. Now, the Islamic world uniting together, why is that bad for America? Well, not because there's suddenly going to be terror attacks in the US from the Islamic world. That's not why it's bad for America. It's bad for America because America needs a military-industrial complex, and it needs to keep the world divided. And one of its greatest accomplishments of the United States over the last 30, 40 years was to keep the Arabic world divided between Shia, Muslim, and creating, America creating these terrorist groups like ISIS and Hezbollah. Well, maybe not Hezbollah, but Hamas. These are American-created militant groups, right? And while America's creating militant groups, they're also creating this divide within the Arabic world. So if the Arabic world is, the Islam world is uniting, it's bad for America because then America would not be able to divide it again. And they would just be stronger together. And it's bad for Israel because they kind of don't want Israel in there. So Israel is gonna might have to find a way to make peace, which they don't, which will be hard for them, right? Similar to Ukraine, in a way. Well, now that Ukraine isn't going to get any more money and any more weapons, there's probably a peace deal coming, but that peace deal is going to be so shitty for Ukraine compared to what they could have gotten 2 years ago that it's just stupid, insane. But hopefully this stops the fighting in Ukraine sooner, but shit is about to hit the fan over in Israel. It's gonna, I'm very pessimistic. I'm actually optimistic on the Ukraine situation. It'll end. I think this ends the Russia-Ukraine situation, but it starts a whole bigger. There's not going to be a war between Afghanistan and Russia. And the Taliban, yeah, America created the Taliban, and then somehow they're upset that it came back to hurt them in the U.S. Yeah, exactly. I remember it was my most. I got so pissed off. Like it's easy to get pissed off at Hillary, but Hillary did this interview, right? And Hillary was like gloating and laughing how America helped Afghanistan and created all these big problems for Russia in the 80s. Like Hillary is like gloating about how Russia had to got embarrassed in Afghanistan in the 80s and how America helped make that happen. What she forgot to mention is, in order for America to do that to Russia, they had to create the Taliban, which kind of came home in 2001. again, assuming how deep your conspiracy theories go about 9/11. Let's not go there. I have my own. I have plenty of my own. Okay, but yeah. So I think this conflict in Israel is only getting started, but the conflict in Ukraine is ending. Now it's going to end very badly for Ukraine and in their negotiations. And the sooner they negotiate, they still have a chance. I think they have maybe another 3 months to hold on to Odessa and Kharkiv. And after that, I think their chances of keeping Odessa and Kharkiv are low. So they need to get to that negotiating table real quick, because the amount of weapons and money they're about to get is about to run out. All right. S&P 500 is going up. I'm not surprised. Again, the more chaos there is in other parts of the world, the more money goes into the United States. This is why, even while the United States is collapsing from within, it's like rotting from within. While it's rotting from within, you have all the flies are coming to the top, right? So all the money is flying into America and into the American stock market for safety, while America is rotting from within when its political model, and eventually it's gonna like engulf it. And in that process, the American companies of the S&P 500 that fly off the sinking ship of the United States will survive. And that's why I think the American stock market will continue to rise. And for now, the US dollar will continue to rise. Let's pull up the US dollar chart. Let's go to the US dollar chart. I have been on these trends for a long time. Long time. The US dollar, I'm expecting the US dollar to rise. I am expecting a pullback off this weekly MRI top, but I'm expecting the US dollar to reverse. Look how perfect the samurai top has been in the US dollar. Because everything is flying on top of the US as it's rotting from within. And the rot from within starts in the Oval Office, or started in the Oval Office with the 2020 election. And I had a good podcast this morning. It was in Russian, and we talked about this, where, and it was a really good question. Can the Titanic of the United States be turned around? And the answer is yes, it can be turned around. Trump is my first choice to turn it around. Kennedy is my second choice to turn it around. Ramaswamy is my third choice to turn it around. And DeSantis is a very distant fourth choice to turn it around. The problem is, I don't think any of these people are going to be the president of the United States. Can the ship still be turned? Maybe. Maybe there's a chance. But there is a smaller chance that the captain to turn the ship would make it to do it. That's the problem. The problem is, while Trump can probably come in, fire everyone, and turn it around, and hire, his own people to turn it around, people that know business, people that know economics, people that know how to negotiate, people that know some diplomacy, and Kennedy can come in and maybe fire every single person that works for the CIA, and every single person that works for the NSA, and every single person that works for the FBI, and that can solve the problem too. Just get rid of all of these spy agencies that have caused all of this havoc. Kennedy can do that, but he'll never get the chance to do it, right? That's the problem. That's the problem. Trump can come in and say, any politician that makes a trade, what's his name? Chansley, the horns guy, he had a great tweet. Where is it? Let me see. He tweets a lot though. I don't know if I'll find it. It was a little while ago. Let me see it. Let me see. I should hit him up. I should hey, you remember me? We spoke at the Capitol. What's his name? Yeah, there he is, Jake. I should DM him. I'll DM him, see if he remembers me. Him and I spoke. We spoke for like 15 minutes at the Capitol before he got arrested. He had a great tweet. I don't know if I'll find it though. I'll probably hit the like button. Hold on, let me see. October 6th. Okay, he doesn't tweet that much, which is great. Had a really good tweet. This it? No, it's not it. Oh yeah, this is it. This is it. Yeah. As Speaker of the House, my fourth proposal. Oh, four. Okay, this is fourth proposal. He had the others. Defund Ukraine proxy war. Agree. Defund select departments, FBI, CIA. I haven't seen this tweet. DEA, DOD. I'm not sure about the DOD, but I agree with him on the rest. I would add NSA in there. Release all disruptive patents. I agree with that. Finance new infrastructure. Yep, I agree. Tesla Tower. I agree with that. Audit the Pentagon. I agree with that. But that's his fourth. I remember looking at his first, and his first was great. Let me see. Third, let's go to the first. Let's see. Yeah, he's I guess you follow his account, man. He's great. If I have a political channel, I would love to have him as a guest. I don't know how long ago he tweeted that, right? But like his first one was he would like arrest any politician that insider trades. I was like it was really good. Like he had like a really good list of stuff he would do if he was in politics. It's great. Anyway. Hey, thanks, Crypto Factor. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Go back to the charts. So the dollar, I'm expecting the dollar to rise. I'm expecting the stock market to rise. Obviously, I'm expecting Bitcoin to rise. And I'm expecting yields to keep rising. Nobody wants American shitty debt. No one wants American shitty debt, or European shitty debt, or Canadian, or pretty much most of the world. Yeah, all this crap they teach us and they taught us in schools that like the biggest war is between the Sunnis and the Shiite. I'm witnessing that this isn't true, right? Like Azerbaijan, I think it's Shia. I could get that wrong. Iran is Shia. They're not on great terms right now. Meanwhile, Azerbaijan is Shia. Turkey is Sunni. They're on great terms. Hezbollah in the north of Israel is Shia. Gaza Strip is Sunni. Starting with the Muslim Brotherhood, that's a Sunni faction. They work together. Saudi and Iran are solving their problems. That's a Sunni versus Shia, no longer a big problem. Like it's changing. It's changing. Like Hamas was pro Syrian government, and then America stepped in, and Hamas became anti-Syrian government. Now Hamas is pro-Syrian government again. I mean, it's all American meddling. It's all American meddling causing these problems. They're not the religious problems within the Islam world are solving. They're solving themselves, and the less America is able to meddle in that, the sooner they'll get solved. But the sooner they get solved, the shittier it is for Israel, right? Because one of the things that kept Israel like safe is the infighting within the Islam world. And if the fighting within the Islam world goes away, Israel is in trouble unless they somehow negotiate their survival with the Islam world without American interference. And you can do it. I mean, they can do it. I think I have hope that Israel will negotiate the survival of their nation when Big Daddy America can't save them. And the sooner they start that negotiation with the Islam world, the better, because the Islam world is uniting. So. And they don't like Israel in their backyard. But it doesn't mean that they can't coexist. Only if you have, proper people willing to talk to each other. All right. I didn't really plan on doing politics today, but here we are. Yeah, I can take a look at the Israeli currency for sure. I want to actually. Israeli shekel. The hell is it? I haven't looked at that currency in forever. But yeah, but the US will peg it. Just like the Ukrainian currency. It'll get pegged. Oh, there goes the devaluation. See, this is what happens. This is what happens. You can tell. Look at that. Look at that. That's not good. That is not good. You're in trouble. Well, the good news is you're on a monthly MRI top, but that's because the US dollar has topped. But you have broken the prior swing high. And you are now approaching a double top. And what do we know about double tops? The Israeli currency is in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. You can see the buying opportunity, or I guess the selling opportunity. Look at that. In early 2022, look at that bottom. Extension B, extension C, and the MRI buy. So this is where the Israeli currency starts to devalue against the US dollar. Now we're hitting an MRI top versus the US dollar. You may get a little bit of a dead cat bounce, but I would not be holding this currency. The US may come in and peg it. They may peg it to the US dollar. Exactly like, by the way, the Ukrainian currency is about to devalue. I knew it was coming eventually. This is going to go like this because the aid to Ukraine is going to take a back seat, more like, hold on to the bumper seat to the Israeli situation. Okay, Israel has jumped so far ahead of the line up in front of Ukraine that the Ukrainian currency is going to devalue. The United States will not be able to keep this peg. They have kept the peg. This was a 35% devaluation in a single week, 25%, and I've been waiting for it to happen again. I keep extending this 25% devaluation, and I drew this arrow long ago. I thought this is where it would go. It would go to 50 to the dollar. It's coming. Ukraine needs to immediately negotiate with Russia. I haven't even seen the news out of Israel today, but if Gaza is in serious trouble, Hezbollah will probably, take the shot. They're going to wait for Israel to use all their shells in Gaza, and then when they feel Israel is weaker, they're going to probably attack from the north when Israel does not have enough, ammo to fire back. Okay. No, I don't think it's pride in Zelensky. I think that if he starts negotiating with Russia, his life's in danger from within Ukraine. I think Zelensky is dying to get to those elections so somebody else wins and it's their problem. And then Zelensky say, well, I can't negotiate. I'm not president anymore. I think Zelensky is now trying to, like at first he canceled the election to be to stay in charge. But I think now he would prefer the election so that he's no longer in charge and it's somebody else's problem. All right, I got to take a look at some stocks here. Where are we going? We're going to go. Somebody asked me for one earlier. TLT short. I would be careful with TLT short right now. That short trade has already played itself out. There was another stock earlier somebody wanted me to look at. I don't figure out how far back I got to scroll. Liberty Intrust. Thank you so much for your super chat as well. I don't see the other stock that someone asked me for. Maybe they'll repost it. Someone asked for it early on. Okay, so let's look at, we got CVS, buy. Is buy a stock? Is that Best Buy? And Vays. What the hell is Phase? Oh yeah, I looked at this before. Yeah, we looked at this the other day. This looks bearish to me. This looks monthly. Oh, actually, sorry, it's a monthly chart. Let's go to the daily chart. Okay, never mind. Forget the bearishness. That was a monthly chart. I thought that was a daily chart. I like it, but I want to see it break the counts. Was there a weekly buy? Yeah, I talked about this yesterday. I would have been stopped out, unfortunately, in this trade to the upside, and I would have been very frustrated. And I don't like to chase. So it's just an unfortunate situation of these two candles. Like there was a buying opportunity right here, but then this stupid candle would have knocked me out of the trade, and now I would just be watching, and now it's too close to earnings. Like I think it can turn around, but I would have lost money on this trade. I would have tried to buy it, and unfortunately, I would not have held through this. I would have taken my stop loss, and I don't have a clean opportunity to get back in. So I think this has a chance to rally to the moving average. If you have a longer term view on it, I would be okay with a bullish hold on this. But my short term bullish trade would have gotten stopped out. CVS. This looks bullish. I guess I've looked at it before on a weekly scale here. What about the daily scale? Yeah, this looks pretty bullish. There is resistance coming up at 75. I like the MRI buy here on the daily. Broke two moving averages. Yeah, I'd be bullish on CVS, especially when their competition is going out of business, like Rite Aid or something. Yeah, I'd be bullish. Resistance at 75. If it breaks that, then up we go to 85. Definitely looks bullish to me on CVS. And is buy Best Buy? Yeah. Whoa. Why is it in Germany? Is Best Buy not an American company? What am I missing here? Is Best Buy a German company? What's going on here? Really? Where is Best Buy domiciled? Oh, BBY. Okay, I was about to say. I'm like, why am I so confused? because their ticker is different. Okay, BBY. I'm like, why am I so confused? There we go. But I don't know if he meant buy as in you should buy or buy as in Best Buy, but we're looking at Best Buy. So let's see what's going on in Best Buy. Okay, so beautiful MRI top in Best Buy drove the market down in late July. Beautiful MRI buy right here, driving the stock up. Absolutely incredible buying opportunity on the reversal candle. And yeah, it looks good. The current week is looking good. The overall market is rallying. And Green Star candle, I mean, bullish. You had a daily MRI buy within a weekly MRI buy or close to it. Yeah, I mean, if I definitely a buying opportunity in Best Buy last week on the MRI and still looking good. Yeah, you know, if you look at Bitcoin treasuries, what's going on? Why am I not typing? If you look at Bitcoin treasuries, Rodolfo Novak's website, it says right here that Ukraine has 46,000 Bitcoin. I don't believe this. I do not believe this. Back in the day, it had Romania or Bulgaria with like 140,000 Bitcoin, and that number suddenly disappeared and became 66. Okay, I don't believe this. I believe this, right? Like, I don't believe this. I don't believe it for two reasons. One, I don't. We know how corrupt Ukraine is, right? So even if Ukraine had 46,000 Bitcoin at some point, it doesn't belong to Ukraine. It has already been subdivided amongst its political elites. That's one reason. Another reason is I just don't believe Ukraine saying that they have 46,000 Bitcoin. They could have zero, and they could say they have 46,000 Bitcoin. They can have it, but not have the private key because they confiscated it from a bunch of criminal organizations in Ukraine. Either way, I expect this number to eventually show up as zero when it's proven that the Ukraine as a country does not have 46,000 Bitcoin for its citizens. This is different than the US. The US does have 41,000 Bitcoin. This is verifiable. They will probably sell it. They're not going to use it for the benefit of their people, but the United States is holding 41,000 Bitcoin that technically belongs to the people. If Ukraine happens to be holding 46,000 Bitcoin, it is certainly not for the benefit of their people, right? Now, we can say that when the United States sells the 41,000 Bitcoin, they will just use the money to hire 41,000 IRS agents and that is to the benefit of the people because they'll collect more money and they'll build more roads, right? They can spin it that way, but technically, the U.S. spends the money on the people. Is just that sometimes, or most of the time, it's what they think the people want, which is more tyrannical dictatorship. Now, El Salvador definitely has this much Bitcoin, maybe even more, that they're not telling you about. And Bulgaria doesn't have any anymore. And if you look at old versions of this website, it used to say 140,000. Okay, maybe they. Oh no, where's Andrew Tate? Bulgaria or Romania? I forget. I think he's in Romania. He's in Romania. So maybe Romania should be on the list. I don't know how much they were able to confiscate from him. But you get the point. So I don't believe this. This is not. It's not there. It's not there. It's like the Pentagon and like $3 trillion in 2001. We don't know where the money went. It's just gone, disappeared. We don't know where it is. Let's go and investigate it. Oops, 9/11 a week later. Or a day later, I don't remember the timeline. Romania, yeah. Okay, financial summit. How many spots? We have about 10 spots left. We have about 10 rooms left. I already gave away the free room from our contest. I am reaching out to other people. We're going to give them, discounts a little bit, but I only have 10 rooms left. I want people to buy them without a discount, of course, but you never know. You may get a little discount on this. We have 10 rooms left. The sooner I sell it out, the more I can focus on the summit instead of, still explaining to people why they need to be there and why it's an incredible event. So don't miss it. We have 10 rooms left at the event. The event is between 40 and 50 rooms. You do need to stay at the resort to be part of the event. It's 2 hours into the desert. We don't want people driving back and forth. It's an all-inclusive resort. No, sorry, it's not it's a gated resort. It is not an all-inclusive resort, but we are covering all of your food and some of your alcoholic drinks and all of your non-alcoholic drinks on our tab, and that's part of the cost of joining us. We profit very little from this. So when we say it costs $9,000, these are $1,000 a night rooms, guys. If you're curious what the room looks like, hit room upgrade, and the room on the left is included. You get your own private pool. You can upgrade for an extra $500 a night, and you get a bigger private pool and a much bigger backyard, and a bigger bedroom versus this bedroom. Way bigger bathroom. So this is what's included, and this is the bathroom is enormous. I think it's way too big. I'm sure the ladies don't mind. And this is the same pool, only at night. Included, upgrade. Yeah, this is a villa for 2 people. This is the upgraded villa, extra $500 a night. Even this basic villa is $1,000 a night, standard. This one, low more, $1,500 a night. But we include this. This villa is included for 5 nights. Thank you for asking. And unconfiscatable, coming to Las Vegas. If the US bought Bitcoin for the people, they would buy high and sell low. Correct, just like oil. Yes, that's exactly what they would do. FTX Bitcoin. Yeah, they have FTX Bitcoin, but that should go to the FTX people. Yeah, so we do make this event family friendly. The financial summit. You certainly can. Now, a second person, because it's not an all-inclusive resort, a second person does cost us extra money. So there is an additional small charge for a significant other. It's in the registration form, right? Include significant other. There is a $2,000 charge, but reach out to me. Who asked that? Mark B. Mark, shoot me a DM. Shoot me a DM on Telegram. I'm sure you're resourceful. Don't send me money on Telegram, please. Or yeah, there is a small extra fee, but again, we reach out to me. We can discuss it. I mean, if you make a good case, there might be a little discount. Make the case, right? Like an empty room is not good for me. We have the event. An empty room is no good, right? So if I can fill that room, it may be worth a little bit of a discount. But yeah, about 30% of the people bring a wife, a girlfriend, significant other. That happens all the time, and we do have a plan for them so that they're not bored. So ladies go to the beach. There's a beach not far away. They go shopping in Dubai, at the mall. They do other stuff. They have a whole spa day. Yeah, there's lots of stuff to do for the wives and girlfriends. Yeah, reach out to us. There's a contact page here, or if you have my contact on Telegram, or email us. Just remind me you're Mark B from YouTube, and we'll chat. All right. Hey guys, that's it for me. I need to get back to work. Thought this video would be shorter than an hour. I still think this percent is too high. I still think they might raise the rate. I don't know. Like someone said earlier, 70,000 Bitcoin by the halving. I'm gonna take the under. I'm taking the under on that. For me, if Bitcoin is half that, well, not half that, 45,000, that I would be happy. I think 50,000 is as high as it would go before the halving. Maybe you know what? I don't even have it that high. 35. I'd be happy with 35 by the halving. I think 45 is a cap before the halving. I'm not as bullish as some of you guys are going into the halving. I think we're just gonna slowly grind into the halving. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. I'm gonna leave it here, and I will see you all on the next one. And yeah, the Palestine-Israel discussion. I'll get into it another time. But as you guys do your research, there are certain assumptions that seem crazy to me. Like blaming it on Iran is nuts. Iran has no ability to send weapons to the Gaza Strip. They're geographically not capable of doing that. So you see the Americans are blaming it on Iran. That's insane. Okay, they have no access. Man, I didn't really want to get into this, but that's the one thing that's bothering me. People are skipping over the obvious, and they're skipping over the obvious, but they're focusing on the crazy. And look at a map. Just open a map. Like the problem with the people in the United States, they don't know how to open a map. They don't know what a globe looks like. Well, like they're grossly incompetent. Iran is here. Iran is able to have access to Lebanon and Hezbollah, which is also a Shiite faction, because Iraq is a dysfunctional state, thanks to the United States. Syria is a somewhat dysfunctional state, along with having Iranian friends in Syria, like Russia, for example. And Lebanon is where Hezbollah is. So Iran is able to have a supply chain, even though I'm sure there's a lot of bribes going on, into Hezbollah. How the hell is Iran gonna supply the Gaza Strip? They have to go through Israel. They also have to go through Saudi Arabia, which is probably not exactly in the mood to have Iran smuggle shit through them. It's a lot harder to bribe people in Saudi Arabia than in, say, Iraq or Syria or Lebanon, right? Saudi Arabia is fairly stable. And Jordan is a bit dysfunctional, but again, even so, going through Jordan is hard, and then they still have to cross Israel, or they got to go through Egypt. And Egypt and Iran aren't exactly besties, maybe eventually, but again, Shia, Sunni, it's resolving itself, but still slowly. So when people say that Iran had something to do with this, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. Okay. Now, if it was Hezbollah, then yes, possibly. And if Hezbollah does attack from the north, then yes, you can kind of blame Iran. But blaming Iran for what happened in Gaza is literally the stupidity of any American who doesn't own a map. Okay. Now, which countries could have had a hand in this? Well, obviously Egypt, it's right there. And I wouldn't completely rule out Turkey from having some kind of wink and a nod. And I know people are saying that Russia had nothing to do with it. Again, maybe a wink and a nod. Like, did Turkey and Russia supply weapons? No, they did not. I don't believe that they have, right? I don't believe Turkey supplied the weapons. I don't believe Russia supplied the weapons. I don't believe Iran supplied the weapons. I think the weapons are supplied by the United States, directly or indirectly. Directly meaning they've been arming these militant groups for years, and indirectly, the debacle in Afghanistan and having those weapons make their way there through black markets over the last year and a half, from Afghanistan, likely through Iran and then through Iraq, and somehow, moved in there. But again, it's the same challenge as Iraq would have, right? How do you logistically move them there? It would have had to be done through Egypt, okay? But Egypt, I've been to Egypt. It is very easy to bribe people in Egypt, okay? So, right. In addition, I mean, the Gaza Strip has been opened for people to move around, and they could have made their way from Hezbollah through, illegal means into the Gaza Strip. Okay, so yeah, but I gotta say, I mean, I don't think Russia had any real involvement in this, but this significantly helps Russia. It helps Russia on so many levels. I'm sure they didn't want, I don't think they wanted it to happen, but in my off-topic Telegram group, like, I listed like 6 reasons as to how this violence breaking out in Israel benefits Russia. I'm not saying they did it, but it benefits them a lot, from resolving Ukraine faster, from eliminating Israel's help to Ukraine. Israel tried to stay neutral, but not really. They were way more pro Ukraine. The Israeli intelligence helping Ukraine will now be too busy helping themselves. Putin can come in later and play peacemaker and solve the problems. There's other additional reasons. Basically, how everyone was making fun of Russia and how the stronger military can't, take over Ukraine, and how Putin was supposed to be partying in Kiev after a few weeks, and now it's been a few years, and Russia's incompetent. They can't even take Ukraine. But let's see how Israel does against little Gaza, right? So Gaza has the ability of sending a $1,000 drone and destroying $1 million tank. So for all the people that were making fun of the Russian military and how incompetent it is against little old Ukraine, we're going to see how Israel does against, again, people in flip-flops in Gaza that have no water and no electricity. Again, if they have like logistics and they have some support, and they can start knocking out $1 million Israeli tanks and airplanes out of the sky with sub-$1,000 equipment, that's going to be a big problem for Israel. And if Israel can't take down the Gaza Strip, and that's going to look very bad. And again, the U.S. military will get exposed for its incompetence. In addition, to see how Israel does. So we're going to find out. I think this is just getting started. I think this is just getting started. And that in a way, benefits Russia indirectly as well, because it will show to the people that were expecting like a Russian quick victory, and whether it's Russian enemies or that are making fun of them, or Russian allies that are upset, how come Russia hasn't ended this yet? If the Gaza Strip has a ridiculously strong fight against Israel, that would, quiet down Russian critics of both their allies and their enemies, because they'll say, well, Russia can't take Ukraine, but Israel can't take Gaza, right? And it should be a lot easier for Israel to take Gaza than Russia to take Ukraine. So there is so much that's going to come out of this. I think it's just getting started. I think it's just getting started. Yeah, but like there's hours of discussions. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface on the kind of discussions people can have. And shit can go down in Cyprus too, with Turkey and Greece. And guys, this is just getting started. We've already seen Armenia and Azerbaijan. I haven't even talked about this at all yet. I haven't mentioned this at all, what's going on here. Armenia fucked up, and now Azerbaijan is going to take like half of Armenia. It's like, again, Russia, Ukraine all over again. And Russia was protecting Armenia, and then Russia backed out. They're like, nope, you guys are idiots. You're on your own now. And Armenia can't stand up to Azerbaijan. And Armenia has no friends in this region. Turkey doesn't like them. Azerbaijan doesn't like them. Iran kind of finds them useful, but Iran can find a way to work with Azerbaijan. That's not impossible. Russia was Armenia's friend until Armenia turned their back on Russia, and America ain't coming to help. America ain't going to put NATO in here. NATO will never be in Armenia. They have no exit. They have no exit. Turkey is not going to want them there. NATO can't get in and get out. They got to deal with Erdogan and Turkey to get NATO in and out. It's not going to happen. They have no sea access. They have no land access other than Turkey. And can't good luck dealing with Turkey. And I don't know where the next, craziness is going to break out. The problem is you have basically the Philippines and Thailand, thanks to American NGOs, have elected anti-Chinese leaders. And now these countries are going to try to pick a fight with China because they're also idiots. Instead of being friendly and working with China, they're picking a fight with China, like they stand a chance. And again, it's American meddling, American meddling. They can't let these countries have their own election. They have to get involved. No, the India-Europe trade route, remember, Iran has just joined the BRICS. So while the India-Europe trade route may be put on hold, it can go through Iran, and then, again, Azerbaijan and Georgia are neighboring countries, so it is doable, but that was the plan, basically. Eventually, it's going to go through Russia. Eventually, when the Russia-Ukraine situation ends, And again, the brainwashing by America that Russia is an enemy and they're impossible to work with, when in a generation or so, when that ends and people are able to work together on an economically, Indian goods would flow through Russia, and of course Russia would benefit. But that's because they totally screwed up. They could have had it going through Ukraine, but they had to, get creative. But yeah, Iran is in an incredible geographic position. Iran is the only country in the world that has access to the Arabian Sea and the Caspian Sea, which is more like a Caspian lake, but they're the only country with this access. It is incredibly geographically useful by being the only country in the world with access to the Caspian Sea, which has access to like 6 nations, and the Arabic Sea, and Persian Gulf, and Gulf of Oman. Really great strategic position. And if Armenia becomes a little landlocked thing, like Azerbaijan can just take most of it, right? Armenia now has no protection whatsoever. No, America ain't gonna help Armenia, especially now that with the Israel breaking out. And Armenian military doesn't stand a chance against Azerbaijan. And Turkey ain't gonna help Armenia. Iran is not gonna help them much. Though Iran does like access to Armenia, it gives Iran additional options. So we'll see. Armenia may ask Iran for help in order to keep this road. But as you can see, it's not exactly a trade route. So it's a complicated situation. But there's no reason why Azerbaijan and Iran can't work together in the future. They certainly can. This is not as important as the Russia-Ukraine or Israel-Palestine, not even close, but it is significant for the geopolitics in this region. And it also shows what happens when you elect a leader that decides to, cut ties with the only nation that was protecting you against your enemies. And this is what you get. It's a good, I don't know, but the world doesn't see this lesson. No one learned this. How many of you know exactly what happened in Armenia? Right? There was disputed territory, Nagorno-Karabakh, I can never pronounce it right. And Russia was protecting it on behalf of Armenia. And then Armenia turned its back on Russia, said, we're going to join the European Union. We're looking to join NATO. They pulled the Ukraine. And Russia said, okay, so then you don't need our military assistance. You guys are on your own. We're going to pull out our, peacekeepers, which is the military. We're going to pull it out of this disputed land with Azerbaijan, because clearly you now have the American daddy to help you keep what you claim is your land. And the next day, Azerbaijan, it only took them 3 days to take the land. Done. Because Armenian military can't, do shit against Azerbaijani military. That's what happens. And Russia's not happy either. Russia had all of these countries that they were friendly with, and they were providing them like protection, maybe like the mafia, whatever you want to say. Same thing with, well, Ukraine's a little different, right? So unlike the Armenia situation, Russia did not go and take that land, but in the case of Ukraine, they did, because Russia doesn't border Armenia, but Russia borders Ukraine. But it's a similar situation, Ukraine completely turned their back on Russia, and Russia, didn't like it, and went in. Armenia turned their back on Russia. Russia didn't like it. They just pulled out. They weren't going to go in because they don't border the land. Now, when Georgia did that, they went in. Russia went into Georgia in 2008 for the same reason. It's all the same. It's the same shit all over again. Nobody learned from the Georgian incident. No one learned from the Ukraine incident. No one is learning from the Armenian incident. And if Israel was a lot more friendly to Russia and potentially taken Russia's side in the Ukrainian mess, Russia could have somewhat protected Israel and prevented the Arab states from attacking Israel. Because again, Russia has influence in the nation. Russia has a lot of influence over Egypt. They have a lot of influence over Iran, which people think had a hand in this. And Russia is on friendly terms with Turkey. And Russia is on friendly terms with Saudi Arabia. Again, if Israel was more friendly to Russia, and I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm just giving you the facts. The fact is, if Israel was more interested in peace in Ukraine and didn't send weapons to Ukraine, maybe Russia could have prevented some of the violence happening in Israel by using their influence in the region, by telling people, hey, you know what? Israel is being very friendly to us. We would like to keep it that way. So stop effing around and maybe don't go shooting through music festivals in Israel. And then when the Ukraine situation ends, we Russia, Putin, will help you negotiate something in Israel that would be more beneficial to the Islamic world. Like, again, that's diplomacy. That's what potentially, I'm not saying people in Israel would have wanted this, or Americans certainly would not have wanted this. America certainly doesn't want to see Israel be on, where Russia becomes Israel's main protective daddy over the American big protective daddy. But America clearly doesn't have the ability to protect Israel. And Israel is going to learn that, if they haven't yet, over the next decade. But Russia potentially does. So the new Israeli government, because Netanyahu is going to be gone. So the new Israeli government needs to really think about who to talk to in this region. Because if all of these countries unite against Israel, Israel's fucked. Well, yeah, I mean, Putin is a smart guy, and he has a PhD in economics, unlike our president or vice president, who are both, disgraced lawyers here in the U.S. Now, again, America was able to keep Israel safe as long as the Arab world is divided. But if the Arab world is uniting, Israel is in trouble. Hey, but maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm the idiot here. JOD, thank you so much for your... Oh, Mark B. It's a donation in JOD. What is JOD? Wow, I thought I knew all the currencies. Jordanian dollar? What's JOD? Jordanian dollar, okay. Wow, you're in Jordan? I know very little about Jordan. I don't know the politics of Jordan. I'm not sure. I think Jordan is Shia Muslim, but I'm not sure. Jordan. I wanted to go to Jordan. I really want to go to Petra. Jordan demographics. I don't know much about. I will admit, Jordan, I'm not up to date on. Can't believe I'm going to Wikipedia. Might as well just go to the CIA.com to get my information. But what's the religious aspect to Jordan? Jordan's population. Okay, hold on. Jordan religious percentages. There you go. Religious demographics. – 97% Islam, right? But they're not being specific enough. I knew that. That's obvious. Jesus Christ, Wikipedia. Sunni. Okay, so they are Sunni. Okay. Sunni from Syria. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like I said, Jordan's religious demographics, I'm not that familiar with. But yeah, that makes sense that they're Sunni. Right, which makes it even harder for Iran to move logistics through Jordan. Again, I'm not saying Iraq is dysfunctional. You can bribe anybody, I'm sure. Same with Syria. Dysfunctional, thanks to the US. The US screwed that up. Yeah, I'm not sure Jordan's situation in the region. I don't know how friendly they are with Saudi. I don't know how friendly they are with Iran. I do need to brush up on my politics of Jordan. Israel is just an American military base. No, Israel is a lot more than that. It's a lot more than the American military base. But America certainly, benefits from it. Yeah, the Suez Canal, America wants to make sure, they have access to that. And destabilizing the Middle East. I mean, that's the number one priority of the American government, keep Middle East destabilized. The Middle East is uniting, and that's a big problem for the US, and it's a big problem for Israel. I'm not sure what role Jordan's going to play in this, but they have a pretty good, they're geographically located in an area where they're important. I mean, they're bordering Iraq, they're bordering Saudi, they're bordering Syria, and they're bordering Israel. Jordan can certainly they can use their geographic advantage in this situation. Every country has advantages and disadvantages. A country needs to know what their advantages are and what their disadvantages are. The greatest advantage for Iran is it's the only country with a connection between the two big maritime land sea masses. That's the biggest advantage for Iran. Okay, that's a geographical advantage. Okay, it also has some disadvantages. Its biggest disadvantage is it's not on any good terms with the United States. So it's been isolated from the world, but now that's correcting thanks to the BRICS. Okay, so they've been, that's their disadvantage. Israel's disadvantages are obvious. They're smack in the middle of the Arabic world. Now, what are Israel's advantages? Well, their advantage is, it is, like a home for the Jewish population, which doesn't have any other home. That's an advantage. People do want to save it. People do want to protect it. They've been very friendly with the strongest superpower in the world, America, but that could become a disadvantage. They can flip that advantage by becoming friendly with the future superpowers of the world, of Russia and China. They have an advantage of the Mediterranean Sea. They could also provide, pipelines, and they have some from the sea into Gulf of Arabia. Sorry, I have to make sure for an outlet like into the Red Sea, and that could as an alternative to the Suez Canal, like it has its advantages. Okay, every country has advantages and disadvantages. Okay, you need to know what your disadvantages are and keep them from destroying your nation. And you need to optimize your advantages to make your country indispensable. Okay, look at Switzerland. Switzerland doesn't have a much geographical advantage. They are stuck in the middle of Europe, which today is becoming communist Europe. And 70 years ago, it was in the midst of a war. Switzerland, what are its advantages? Its advantages, it has several advantages. One of its advantages is its topography. It has a lot of mountains. It's a somewhat defensible position because it has a lot of high ground, which still matters in case Switzerland is to be invaded. Switzerland has another advantage in that it is trying to maintain its true democracy, where the people of Switzerland are able to actually vote on shit. Okay, Switzerland also has pretty good gun rights. Switzerland citizens go to the army, they get to retain their weapons, and Switzerland population is capable of defending themselves like, you know, a decent fraction of Americans. That's another advantage, right? When you have a population that's scared to look at a picture of a gun, when when another country is invading, you don't have access to a gun, you can't pick up a gun, you're scared to look at it, like, you know, the woke leftists of California. Now in Switzerland, most people have their guns that they got to keep from going to the military of Switzerland. Now this is not really the case anymore. The communist Europe is engulfing Switzerland and brainwashing them completely, but Switzerland had those advantages. And in World War II, they played the best advantage card by staying neutral, and they were not attacked by Hitler, and they were left alone. Switzerland has forgotten that this is one of their big advantages that kept the survival of their country, and they have given up all of their neutrality. Okay, so Switzerland has completely, and they're losing they're still somewhat of a democracy, but they're probably going to give that up too. So Switzerland has like threw away all of their advantages. They haven't destroyed their mountains yet, so they still have a a bit of a geographical advantage of high ground, but with everything else gone, that may not save them next time. Okay, so each country, no matter how small or how big, every country has an advantage and a disadvantage. If a country has no advantage, that country is just completely screwed. African countries are learning what their advantages are. Their advantages are natural resources. And once again, the African countries have never been able to unite. Okay, if you are in Nigeria, the hell is it, and you want to send some money over to Chad, there is absolutely no way for you to do that. It's a giant nightmare. Same with Cameroon, right? So the African countries are starting to unite. Africa is an enormous region. And but every country has its advantages and disadvantages. And you are supposed to take a full advantage of your advantages, and you are supposed to make alliances with other countries to turn your disadvantages from destroying you. This has gone completely ass backwards in the West, but it's starting to show itself in the Middle East and in Africa, and to a much lesser extent in Asia. In Asia, it's once again the opposite. Thailand is now expanding on their biggest disadvantage. Thailand's disadvantage is that they are very close to China, which is the big dog in the region. So in order not to in order not to grow your disadvantage, you should not be aggressive towards China. By being aggressive towards China, you are expanding your disadvantage. In order for Thailand to be stronger and more powerful, they need to minimize its disadvantage of being so close to China, and they should be friends with China and try to get more benefit from being friends with China than the detriment they would have by being aggressive towards China. Okay, so this is how you're supposed to analyze every single country in the world: advantages, disadvantages, and what are they doing about them. And we're witnessing what's happening in Armenia, in Ukraine, and now in Israel, when a country doesn't try to properly balance their advantages and disadvantages. Fabio, yeah, I'm not going to disagree. Someone says banks don't protect you from wolves in the wild. No single thing protects you from everything. Bitcoin doesn't solve the world's problems, but it helps. Okay, every little thing helps. There is never a single thing. Okay, there is never a single cause and effect. Everything gets compounded on top of each other. So yes, having neutrality in the banking system in Switzerland will not in of itself save Switzerland, but it's one of the things that is helping Switzerland protect itself. There are other things that are helping Switzerland protect itself, right? You accumulate and you take advantage of all of your potential advantages. And like, for example, when the US government came to Switzerland and said, give up your numbered bank accounts, we want to know every single person that has money in your account. What Switzerland government should have done is, we are a democracy. We are going to put it to a vote, and every citizen of our country will vote. And this is going to be a fair election. We will guarantee that it's a fair election. And if the citizens of our country want our country to give up the numbered bank accounts, we will give up the numbered bank accounts. But if the citizens of our country will vote to keep the banking information private, tough cookies. Go F yourself, because that's not what our citizens want. That's what Switzerland should have done. What they did was, I forgot who the president was. I believe it was Obama. Yes, King Obama. Who would you like to know? What accounts would you like to see? We will send all that over to you right now on a USB stick. Okay, that's what Switzerland did. What it should have done is it should have played into its advantage of being a direct democracy. Nick says Switzerland is less likely to freeze bank accounts. And then a little joke there. Well, I agree. They are less likely to freeze bank accounts, but they are more likely to freeze bank accounts than they were, let's say, 15 years ago, right? Again, it's the trend. It's where is the trend going, right? So 10 years ago, Israel had the ability to be a bigger Swiss bank, right? Switzerland could have changed the trend, saying not only are we not going to give up our privacy in banking, we're going to be all about pro-Bitcoin, and we're going to give people even more privacy in their banking by being what El Salvador has become. Okay, we're going to allow Bitcoin, and people save money in Bitcoin. We're going to protect their private keys if they want us to protect them. And we're going to use our bank secrecy laws to protect your private keys as well under those bank secrecy laws. Instead, Switzerland went in the opposite direction. And not only did they not take the opportunity to be more private in their banking by appreciating Bitcoin, they became less private in their banking by, ratting like a canary, singing like a canary. All right. We're staying. We have a good amount of views, so people are listening. Anyway, Portugal's biggest advantage is that they're as far away from the communist center and the insanity on the east side as possible. One of its advantages. They can always get on a boat and go back to go back and take over Brazil again. I don't know. But look, you can dig into every single country. Every single country has something, or they wouldn't be a country. Debatable how useful Finland is, which is probably one day it's going to be taken over by Russia again. Again, Finland screw up their biggest advantage. Their biggest advantage was being neutral, and Russia had no problem with them. And Finland screwed that up, completely screwed it up. Okay, Finland's biggest advantage when they got their country back in World War II, after being going to war with Russia and potentially not having their country in existence, they got it back from Russia, and their only advantage was to be friendly with Russia and staying neutral, and they screwed that up. And so eventually, when everything down south resolves, Finland is going to have to deal with some shit. Trust me. Russians don't forget. All right. Any questions before I get going? I was about to end the stream, and then I just got on this tangent. Man, by the way, two countries with some of the most strategic positions, Egypt and Panama. The Panama Canal and the Suez Canal. Huge, huge, absolutely huge. Egypt is now part of the BRICS, and it'll take a long time for Panama to be part of the BRICS. The US will probably not allow that ever. But let's see what happens if the US breaks up by the end of the decade. Huge strategic position. The only reason why there isn't a road, by the way, see this road? See how this road ends? This is the Darien Gap. You can drive a car from the tip of Alaska down to here. And then you can drive a car from this road right here in Colombia. And you can drive it all the way to the southern tip of Argentina. The road breaks in Panama right here. And not having a road is probably one of the only reasons why Panama became a country, because it used to be Colombia. But Colombia was not able to protect its land because it was very difficult. Again, geography matters. Geography matters. The Darien Park right here, Darien Gap. And it's where all the migrants are coming through. That's a whole other story, right? But Panama became a country with support of the United States, because the United States wanted Panama to be its own country. The United States wanted the control of the canal, and they wanted Panama to break off and become its own country so that Colombia doesn't control it. Because if Colombia controlled Panama, Colombia would control the canal. It would be the Colombia Canal and not the Panama Canal. And America does not have the influence to control Colombia. Well, let's not get into the whole cocaine situation, right? But Colombia is massive. People don't realize how big Colombia is. The closer you are to the equator, the bigger your country actually is. Russia is not this big. It looks this big on a map. Okay. What you have to realize is, if you take a plane from Moscow to the edge of Russia, it is actually a shorter flight than a plane from one end of Africa to another end of Africa. It is the map gets stretched the closer you get to the poles. So you have to realize that the distance from here to here, the distance across Russia, is shorter than the distance across Africa. And I'm not talking like the north to south. I'm just talking east to west. Okay. The continent of Africa is bigger than the country of Russia, significantly bigger, right? And that's scale. That's an illusion of scale. Okay. And Colombia, being right on the equator, is a way bigger country. Like, if you take the country of Colombia and like you stick it in Russia, it's going to take up like a quarter of Russia. Like, Colombia is huge. Okay, and Brazil is also huge, right? Now, individually, like, Brazil is not as big as Russia, Like you take Brazil, you put it in Russia, it's going to take up like I think 60-70% of Russia. Like Brazil is massive. Okay, but the maps distort how you see the countries. Okay, they distort how you see the countries. Like Alaska looks bigger than the U.S. looks, right? You take Alaska, you stick it in the U.S., it's actually going to be smaller. Okay, so right, so you got to be real careful by analyzing on Google Maps. So back to the Panama Canal. If there was no jungle here, if there was no jungle and there was easy passage in Colombia through Panama, Panama would have had, I don't know, impossible, but it would have been a lot harder for Panama to become its own country. It would have been a lot harder for the US to help Panama become its own country. Now, the US had its own motivation. They wanted to build a canal and they controlled the canal. Now the canal is back owned by Panama. But Colombia was not able to stop it because there was no way for them to militarily, prevent a breakaway of Panama. It's like 100 years ago or whenever. But in any case, now Panama has a huge strategical advantage of the Panama Canal, and Colombia doesn't have that. Now, one of Colombia's strategic advantages is, of course, the ability to grow cocaine. It's one of the best country, probably the best country in the world for that, again, geographical environment. And that created their cartel problems and also, but again, we're not going to get into the CIA and all this other stuff. But in any case, each country has their advantages and disadvantages. Okay, then you need to know how to take advantage of your advantages and minimize your disadvantages by cooperating with other countries to minimize your disadvantages from blowing up your nation. Guys, on this map, Russia looks bigger than Africa, but it's not. Okay, the continent of Africa is bigger than the country of Russia, because Russia is not a continent. So the continent of Africa is bigger than the country of Russia. But on this map, it doesn't look that way. Just so people are aware. Yeah, I mean, the US is pretty much the same size as Europe. I mean, but they're both at the same geographical latitude, more or less. Again, the further you go from the equator, the more stretched. I mean, come on, is Antarctica really this big? But people don't realize that. Like the further away from the equator you go, the more stretched your country gets. If Australia gets moved into the equator, it becomes smaller. If DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, gets moved into Russia, it becomes significantly bigger. On a map, on a flat map. Greenland is not this big. Okay. All right. On this note, I am going to end it. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all on the next one. Bye, guys.